Hello, and welcome to Catholicism in the Car. My name is Parker Zerbal. So I have pretty much been just recording these podcasts, and I haven't been editing them or posting them anywhere. I haven't had the time just to sit down yet and do any of the editing. So if you wonder why a lot of these have the same timestamp or something like that, that's why. My purpose here, I think, is not to create some, really well edited and put together podcast that checks all the boxes and everybody rejoices over it or something. No. My purpose here is to get my thoughts out there, because I think I have things I can share. I've had a lot of informal theological and philosophical training, and it's almost like I feel as though I'm a fountain that's going to overflow, and I need to share the good news of the gospel. And there are many ways in which I can do this, and this is one of them. Yeah, my goodness. The goodness of God just amazes me. Yesterday at our parish, we had a kind of recording of a talk given by Chris Stefanik on living joy. And, it wasn't anything I hadn't heard before, but with all these things, they're truths that resound to the depths of our being. These are not passing things. I remember my son is about 7 months old now, and holding him for the first time, I don't know how to convey that feel. It wasn't this rush of joy. It wasn't this elation. I was just in awe. At the goodness of God. I think it was Dr. Brant Petrie who has said in certain of his courses that in men, like males, in a male's life, where he meets God most is if he is a priest and in the sacrament of the Holy Eucharist, when he is confecting that sacrament in Mass, in Divine Liturgy. But for a woman, where heaven meets earth for her, where heaven meets earth, is in the conception of a child. Because think about it. When a child is conceived, it's not just the body. At some point along the way, and as far as we know, that's conception. At some point along the way, God infuses that child's body with an immortal soul. I've been doing a lot of research on the Eucharist throughout the history of the Church lately. I'm doing it for some things we have going on at our parish, and doing it for this year of Eucharistic revival. But while I've been doing that and going through lots of different church documents, ecumenical councils, encyclicals, and the like, I've realized too how much there is on the soul. And as I've been going through various philosophical writings, I read Aristotle's De Anima not too long ago, and then yesterday I was reading via audiobook Lucretius's what's it called? On the Principles of Nature, I think is what it's called. I think it's De Rerum Naturale in Latin. And in there, I think it was part 3, books 5 to 7 or something. He talks a lot about the soul. And now Lucretius is coming from he's an Epicurean. He's also an Atomist. So what those terms mean? Epicureans were generally they thought that pleasure was the greatest form of living. Now, not like decadent pleasure or passing pleasure, but they thought like the pleasure of knowledge, the pleasure of the more pure pleasures that we get, but then also bodily pleasures too. Although many of these Epicureans, they would say, you really want to try to not indulge in bodily pleasures as much as possible because of the way that it hinders you from the more intellectual pleasures of life. Anyway, so that's kind of a very broad stroke overview of Epicureans. They stem from a guy named Epicurious, who lived around the time of Aristotle, and then Lucretius, the guy that I was reading his book. He was living in the 1st century BC. So I think his time frame is basically from about, I think they say 99 BC to about 40 or 30 BC, something like that. So he's predating Christ, predating Christianity. And then he's also an atomist, which means basically he thinks that all of nature can be deduced down to particles, and that there's no such thing as spirituality, there's no such thing as soul, all these sorts of issues. So he very much takes like a materialistic view of the world. Now, I would argue so does Aristotle. And in regards to the soul, the Catholic Church actually takes, like, strictly speaking, I would say a materialistic view. The Council of Vienna in 1413, I think, 1413 AD, the Council of Vienna, which was one of the ecumenical councils, I think it was right before Trent. Right before Trent, so that would make it like the 18th ecumenical council, I believe. And in there, they state clearly, clear as day, that the Catholic Church believes that the soul is the form of the body. And this is in one of the canons of the council, which means it is binding upon all the faithful. And at the end of it, they say, that him who does not accept this or believe this, let him be anathema. So if you're a dualist and you're a Catholic, Descartes, then you're not in the best company. So if you believe the soul is just a ghost in the machine or something like that, that is actually against church teaching. What the church teaches is that the soul is the form of the body. And those are Aristotelian terms, where it basically means that we are enfleshed souls. So, and our souls are enfleshed. Like all that we are, we're incarnate, just like Jesus Christ. In everything that we are incarnate. So it's pretty incredible. The church has come out, 600 years ago and defined this like that. I knew that it was church teaching, but I didn't know where it was from. I thought it would have been later, honestly. So the soul is the form of the body. Like, that means we're in flesh souls, but it also means we are our body. Like, after we die, death was not supposed to be. So therefore, God creates a literal miracle in holding the form of our body in existence apart from our body. Like, it's insane. It's not meant to be. God shouldn't have to do that. We should have lived forever, been incarnate forever. Our bodies would have never died. This is why, like, when atheists say, I don't think there's a soul, or people like Lucretius say, I don't think there's a soul, it makes complete sense. It's from a natural point of view, no. There's no such thing as a ghost in the machine or a soul in the body. Like, that doesn't exist. What it is the soul is the form of the body. And we are our bodies. And the only reason that it appears that our souls separate from our bodies at death is because of this miracle that God preserves our souls. If it weren't for that, we would cease to exist once our bodies decay, and once we die, we would cease to exist if it was not for this miracle of God. And the reason that God does this miracle is because His original intent for humanity was for us to live bodily forever. We were never supposed to have a separation of body and soul. That was never supposed to occur. It was one of the consequences of the original sin, and I want to delve more into that at some point later. Kind of like from a philosophical perspective, why this would fit. the Eastern Church, Eastern Rite Catholics, and also the Eastern Orthodox, don't generally look upon original sin as something like a stain upon the soul that's inherited. Generally, they look upon it as something that is the original sin is the consequence. Yeah, that's original sin. Okay, hope that helps. Oh, real quick, please feel free to subscribe to any of my podcasts on any of the podcast players. Find me on YouTube. Please subscribe on YouTube if you enjoy this content. Like me on Facebook, like the Catholicism in the Car channel on Facebook. Twitter, Instagram, we're all there. Catholicism in the Car. Find us. Let's see. And then I also have a Patreon account if you wish to support what I do at this podcast and this YouTube channel. And then you can also support us on anchor.fm. There's a support button there you can click on. I also have links to all this on my website's support page at www.catholicisminthecar.com. Thanks and God bless. Bye.